conversation between me and the Lord, because I could, everybody else, I was telling how excited I was about going to China. But I'd go to the Lord and say, Lord, I'm crushed. Where is my reward for all the labor I put into these businesses? What happened to it? And while I was praying that, the Lord would show me two treasure chests. One would be my earthly treasure chest. One would be my heavenly treasure chest. And so I'd open up my earthly treasure chest, and inside there was a stack of bills, the money that I'd gotten back from the business. It wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't much. It was just the bare minimum of what I should have gotten. And the other was my heavenly treasure chest. Well, I knew what I had done the last 20 years in my life. I knew where I had put my time, my effort, and where my heart was. And so the Lord would say, you need to open the heavenly treasure chest. And I'd say, Lord, don't ask me to do that. I know what I've done. I know where my treasure should be. It should be right here. And it's not there. Don't ask me to look in the heavenly treasure chest, because I know that's going to be vacant. I'm already crushed. Don't ask me to go look there. And so I wouldn't do it. And this went on for a period of a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. I'd be every time I go to prayer, this vision would flash before my eyes in two treasure chests. Now I want to just read a scripture that applies to this. Matthew 6:19-21. Do not store up for yourself treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But store up yourself treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. That was the tough part. Where your treasure is, there is your heart also. I knew where my heart had been. I knew where the treasure should have been, and it wasn't there. So this goes on for a couple of weeks, and then we're just about ready to go to China, and the Lord impressed that I should share this with the church on a Sunday morning. So on a Sunday morning, I get ready to share this. And as I'm praying before I go in there, God prompts me again. He said, look at your heavenly treasure chest. He said, don't ask me. He said, look at your heavenly treasure chest. So finally, I relented, and in my prayers, I opened up my treasure chest. And to my shock, it was full of gold bars. I said, God, where did this come from? And he would have me pick up a bar, and he would remind me of something I had done. And then I'd pick up another bar, and he'd remind me of something else I'd done. You see, I had put all my efforts into this worldly treasure chest. But all that I put in there, all the efforts, all the deposits I put in, someone had stolen. They were gone. But the deposits I put into my heavenly treasure chest were there. God had protected them. God had blessed them. They had multiplied. And so that was the event, that was the hook that we could hang our going to China. From that point on, the 10 years we were in Asia, we never once looked back and said, should we be here? Are we doing the right thing? I knew that we were doing the right thing, because from that point on, I said, what we need to work for is not our earthly treasure chest, but our heavenly treasure chest. And so that has been my story for the 20 years since that happened. But now, I think comes the best part, because I've been thinking about this for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and this vision came back to me, and all these sensations became real to me again. when we started talking about me sharing this with everybody again. And so I would start just praying about it and asking the Lord to speak to me about it. And while I was doing that, God reminded me, he said, remember when you picked up those bars, those golden bars that were in your heavenly treasure chest? Were those really big deposits that you made? I said, no, God, those are just little acts of kindness that I did along the way, just helping a friend or just, being available for somebody at a bad time, or, they were little things. But my whole paradigm shifted. I realized that what we think is important, the things we think are important, the things that we work so hard, our jobs, having success, getting a job done, having a nice car, having a nice house, having nice clothes, all those things that we consider so important, in God's world, those are not important. What is important is what we do on a daily basis to the people that surround us and the people that we have interaction with. If we could just grasp, and this has been my paradigm shift, this has been what has changed in my heart the last 2 weeks, is that God has spoken to me and said, what you need to focus on are not going to work and getting a job done, but going to work and making sure that the people you work with, I work for Lincoln Public Schools with special needs students, that each one of those students know that you love them and that you are there to support them and to help them. And just this last week, I had an experience where I'm working with one of the students and I'm just talking to him and say, how you doing today? And he's going, I'm doing okay. Well, what's going on? Well, you yelled at me yesterday. I go, what? He said, you yelled at me. I can't remember what I did, but I know that what we were doing is some work, and I'm sure that what I did was raise my voice to get his attention. And so, before this, I would have just said, well, I didn't mean anything by it. Let's just move on. But that just hurt my heart. So I went back to that student and said, I'm sorry that I raised my voice at you. Forgive me. I want to be your friend. Would you just forgive me? And I worked the rest of that day just saying, just trying to build that relationship back with him so that he could trust me and that he would understand that I was, all of a sudden my paradigm shifted. What we were doing, we're hanging some hooks for lights at the children's zoo. The idea that, before I'm thinking, this is really important, I got to get this done. All of a sudden that disappeared. And all I could think about was, how am I going to make sure that my interaction with these students is one that I'm going to build relationship with them every day. Not just one or two, but the whole group of them. Because each one of them have a special need. Each one of them have problems that I need to address. And it's just challenged my heart to rethink what's really important and what's not important.